Welcome back. It is 7:41. For one man, his legacy came down to one decision. It's a decision that holds a life lesson that transcends time and culture. A shrine to his heroic deeds sits in north suburban Libertyville. And tomorrow marks the 74th anniversary of this story that still inspires people around the world. Raymond Colby pondered an unusual question for a 10-year-old. Where was his life going?
It really struck him. He started to worry about that as a 10-year-old boy. Am I going to become a bum? Am I going to end up in hell? So he went to the neighboring church, and the side altar was dedicated to Our Lady, and knelt before her. And very sincerely, as a little boy, he asked her, Mother of God, what is going to become of me?
He later entered the Franciscan order as a priest and took the religious name Maximilian. He obtained 2 doctorates in philosophy and theology. In 1939, he circulated periodicals all over Poland with essays denouncing the Nazis.
Anyone that was influential, that had influence against the Nazis, was considered to be an enemy of the regime and would be liquidated.
In 1941, the Nazis arrested him. He ended up at the concentration camp at Auschwitz. It was there he was faced with a momentous decision after an escape attempt. When someone would try to escape, the commandant had a procedure called the Star of Death.
The commandant would come and choose 10 men for the starvation bunker, and they would be sentenced to die of starvation.
One of the prisoners was a Polish man, Sergeant Franciszek Górniczek.
When the man realized he was going to be one of those 10 chosen to be starved to death, what about my wife and my children? You know, what am I going to do? He had 2 teenage children at the time.
Then Father Colby did the unthinkable. He stepped out of line.
And he said, I am a Catholic priest, and I wish to take this man's death. And he pointed out Sergeant Górniczek. Taken aback by it, the commandant, he said, make the switch. So they did. But it was not like they were good friends or anything like that. He died for someone he did not know.
Father Colby ministered to the other 9 prisoners in the starvation bunker, and he was one of 2 survivors. Then the Nazis gave him a lethal injection. At Marytown and Libertyville, people crowd the pews, even in the middle of a summer day, to remember his sacrifice 7 decades ago. In the basement, Brother Charles gives us a tour of the museum and replica of Colby's prison cell. You're talking about you put high school kids in here. Talk about how their reaction to that.
At first, it's a bit of a joke, but then the gate's still in there, and they're standing there or sitting on the floor. And I said, then I'll talk to them a little bit. And I said, now imagine if you were in here for 2 weeks. Nothing to eat and nothing to drink, and it clicks in that this was a man made a real sacrifice to agree to go in there in place of another person.
So whatever happened to Sergeant Górniczek? He survived the war. His 2 children were killed in a bombing. He toured the world telling this very story of a pivotal moment in time.
And he said, the only thing I could do at that moment, I would dare not speak to him. I could just try to thank him with my eyes.
Life for one, death for another. It is a lesson in standing up for your beliefs, and the Marytown Shrine will spend the next year trying to build a more extensive exhibit to mark the 75th anniversary in 2016. Paul?